सुन्दरनाथाय तस्मै हालास्य वासिने चतुष्षष्टिविधालीला येनाकारि भुवस्थले श्रीमत्सुन्दरनाथस्य देवीं शपरलोचना कलये हृदये नित्यं कदम्बवनवासिनी पूतं स्वतः पूततरं ततो यद्गाङ्गं पयः शङ्करमौळिसङ्गात् तत्पातु मातुः प्रणयापराधपादाहते पूततमं ततो नः. We finished till the 60th shloka of the 4th Sarga in Shivaleelarnavam. Shaivalotpala bhringanam sarasishu nishamukhe sparsha saurabhakujabihi swamsam rupam abudhyata nishpapateva gaganam nissasara iva sagaraha avavara iva nishesham avidya mahati tada ayashrinkalavat krashtum ahartum trinapulavat आश्यान पंकवच्छेत्तुम आसीत शक्यम तदा तमः. धनञ्जयो नाम वणिक् सर्वत्र देशेषु अटन् सः कदम्बवनं प्राप्नोति. तत्र तु यदा सः प्राप्नोति, actually before it is already the sun is setting and he decides to take shelter and he is closer to Kadambavanam. Neelakanta Dikshita describes the darkness, the spread of the darkness. First he describes the Sandhya Kalam, then he describes the darkness, and as it becomes night, he describes the night in a very beautiful manner in a couple of shlokas. Gadham tamahatu tatra sarvatra prasratam asit, and because there was darkness everywhere, it was difficult for the eyes to see. But there were other indriyas which could function there, and some of the it was easier to note what animal or what what flower was there because of using the other indriyas. Vastunam प्रतिपत्तिः तु तत्र अन्यानि इन्द्रियाणि उपयुज्य आसन्निति वस्तूनि ग्राह्यानि अभवन् तथा त्वगिन्द्रियेण using the skin they could identify the shaivalam, the moss that is there, and using touch, and then using the nose, smelling the flowers, you could understand that there was utpala pushpa everywhere. And then brahmaranam jhankaraha kuja तत्र भृङ्गानां कूजाभिः भृङ्गरूपम् अबुध्यत, that is we were able to it was the bees made their form known through their humming. Next was nipapataiva gaganam. Everything was தமிழ்ல சொல்றோம்ல ஒன்னடி மண்ணடி ஆயிடுத்தும்போம் இல்லையா. Everything became one here. It was as if the sky had fallen down. There was no ocean there. The ocean had moved away, and everything seemed to be covered in some sort of an ignorance there. He plays with the word avidya, wherein avidya means both ignorance and atra gadham andhakaram tamaha ityapi andhakaraha ityapi vartate avidyayaha. It was so thick that you could actually cut it like a dried up mud. So you could feel sometimes adu apdiye vandu choke பண்ணும்போ, it can be a choking darkness or obstructing. It's kind of obstructing your vision and your movement and everything. So Neelakanta Dikshita imagines that it is probably something like, you could carry it like a bale of grass, or you could scratch it with some iron chain. Ashyana ayashrinkalavat krashtum ahartum trinapulavat ashyana pankavat chettum. It could be cut up like dried up pankam, mire. Now he moves on to how the next following 8 shlokas or so just describes how the Vanik Dhananjaya moved towards the place and what did he see near the Somasundara Lingam. So the Divya Drishti that he had is being described in the next few shlokas. These are all very simple shlokas, no big upama or alankaram of any sort. It just goes to say that it is the bhavam that is more important than any of the words or beauty of the alankaras here. That itself is enough to give us that satisfaction in the mind. Anistaryena manasapi anavyena cha ramhasa srotasa iva andhakarasya saninye nipakananam. So Ninye Jagama, he went to this Nipakananam, Saha Nipakananam, the Kadambavanam Jagama, he went to this Nipa forest with a mind, Manasa Ninye, Manasa Saha Prathamam, Andhakarasya, oh, sorry, 1 minute. Okay. I think I missed out the word andhakarasya here. Andhakarasya, nipakananam, andhakarasya ninye, he spent his time, and he crossed the time of that andhakaram, that darkness with his mind. Yeah. Anistaryena manasapi anavyena cha ramhasa srotasa iva andhakarasya ninye nipakananam. I'm trying to fit this andhakarasya, which is in 6th case. Nipakananam andhakarasya. This is in some Shesha Shashti, wherein you take it as Saha andhakaram nipakananam nayati iti ukte. He crosses that Kadambavanam during this dark time. That is, he crosses the darkness and crosses this Nipavanam, or he gets to this Nipavanam by the time this andhakaram is not present everywhere, or the darkness that is present there, he crosses. During that darkness, he attains Nipavanam with his mind and with a physical speed also. So he realizes that there is this Kadambavanam there, Nipavanam, and as soon as he realizes that this is a place which has the Sannidhyam of Bhagavan, he automatically he was led to this Saha Ninye. He was led to this Nipakananam, this forest, by the Andhakara actually. But you don't take it as the Karta here, but because of this Andhakaram, or to spend that darkness, he reached this Nipa forest. But how did he reach? First, his mind was already going there, and in his mind, he had so many different thoughts, which was completely incomprehensible. Anistaryena, taryam ityukte, something that you can understand. Tarati iti, there is also the meaning of crossing something physically, but you can also say manasapi ataryam, anistaryam. That is something which the mind which is completely incomprehensible. You cannot understand how his mind was, because manasi utthitaha bhavaha kidrashaha asaniti, it was difficult for him to vyaktataya vaktum na shakyate. Many times there are so many thoughts in our mind that it is difficult to express all of those thoughts in the through speech, like how I was struggling, just a few minutes before, how to fit this andhakaram. I could understand it so well in my mind, but to get it in English, it was not easy for me. Even in Tamil, it is not easy for us to express everything that is there in our mind very quickly. So how can he couldn't understand what was going on in his mind. So his mind was such that it was achintyam, anistaryam. It was difficult to understand. Avagamanam ashakyam. Tadrisham manaha tasya asit. Tena manasa nipakananam ninye. He was actually taken to that Nipa forest with his mind. So the manas was the thing that took him to. Ninye is a padam that can be used for bhave prayoga also, karmani prayoga also. Bhava karmanoho api ninye ityeva vartate. Kartari api ninye eva vartate. So probably the force of his mind just took him there. And andakarasya srotas, andakarasya anavyena srotasa iva ramhasa saha nipakananam ninye. He was just pushed, and atra saha iti karmapadam. It is in Nijanta. Take it in Nijanta. Okay, then it makes more sense because he did not find his way in the darkness, but he was somehow led by his mind. And the thoughts that were there in his mind were completely something which could not be understood at all. So, anistaryena manasa api, with a mind that was achintyam, that could not be understood, and anavyena ramhasa, srotasa iva ramhasa, and with a speed that was that was like a flow of river, srotas. Srotasa iva ramhasa. Ramhaha itukte vegaha. So vegena srotasa iva, and that a river which cannot be crossed by a boat at all. A river which is just flowing like a stream, that stream is something which cannot be crossed by a boat. Anavyena srotasa iva ramhasa, with a speed that was like a stream that cannot be crossed with a boat. So அதாவது ஒரு ஓட பயங்கரமா ஓடிட்டு இருந்ததுன்னா உங்களுக்கு வந்து அந்த வாட்டர் வந்து the speed with which the water is going, it is difficult, and it is a river, not even a proper river which is there. Imagine it is a river that is coming down a mountain on a lot of stones and everything. You put a water there, it will automatically be pushed away by that speed. So that is what he means here. So andhakarasya ramhasa, by the speed of this andhakaram, which is like a srotas. See, take it from the earlier shloka also, where he is thinking of the darkness as an object here. The darkness is such that it can be cut by something. It can be pulled like something. It can be carried like something. So this andhakara, this darkness has a speed with which it pushes him towards the Nipa forest, Kadambavana. அந்தகாரஸ்ய, இப்பதான் அந்த அந்தகாரம் எங்க போய் ஃபிட் ஆறுதுன்னு புரியுது. அந்தகாரஸ்ய ரம்ஹசா அனாவ்யேன ஸ்ரோதசா இவ அந்தகாரஸ்ய ரம்ஹசா. The speed of andhakara, the darkness, is such that it is like a stream that cannot be crossed by a boat. Tadrishena andhakarasya vegena anistaryena manasa api, and his mind is also something which is completely, he cannot even think what is going on there. There are no thoughts that are coming to his mind. It is like something, some unknown divine force is just pushing him towards that Kadambavana. He cannot but go. He had to go there. There was no other way for him. So saha na jagama kintu saha nayayati sma. He was taken there. Aduda. He was taken there by his mind and by the force of this andhakaram, this darkness. So there was nothing else he could do. He was not tanvashe swavashe na asit saha kintu andhakarasya vashe asit apitu swamanasaha vashe api saha asit ityeva. Anistaryena manasa api anavyena cha ramhasa. There is another reading here, manasa api anavyena atiramhasa ityapi asti. It is all the same here to avoid an extra cha. Anistaryena manasa api anavyena atiramhasa srotasa iva andhakarasya. So atiramhasa just enforces that the darkness had a greater speed there. That's all. So saha ninye nipakaranam. I hope it is clear. I didn't confuse a lot. If there is any doubt, please ask at the end. I will go over this again. Anistaryena manasapi anavyena cha ramhasa srotasa iva andhakarasya saninye nipakaranam. Somavara upavasena saha advakhedena tavata viprayogena sarthacha vivyathe kevalam tada. But at that point of time, because he was led by darkness, now it fits better with the next shloka. He was already doing somavara upavasa. Upavasam is fasting. So Somavara Vratartham Saha Bhojanam na Kurvan Asit. So Somavara Upavasena, because of due to Somavara fasting, Saha Tavata Advakedena, Tavata Advakedena. Khedaha is fatigue, tiredness from the Adva. Adva is journey. So Advanaha Khedaha. Because of the Marga Khedam, whatever dukkam that he experienced, tad gamana kleshena, because this andhakaram also took him with such force, he just reached this Nipaka Kadambavanam without even his own knowledge. So imagine he must have come with சில சமயம் நமக்குள்ள ஏதோ பூந்து நம்மள வந்து ஒரு வேகத்தோட நடக்க வைக்கும் தெரியுமோ இல்லையோ. If you have experienced that, there may be some thoughts in the mind which just pushes at us to do something beyond what our body can actually take on. There will be an unimaginable force that just pushes us to do, or adrenaline. When there is an adrenaline rush, we tend to do certain things which the body probably cannot take, and then when that rush comes down, the body feels extremely tired. So advakhedena tavata advakhedena, because of that extreme desheshu atanat utpannam Tadanantaram andhakarasya vegena tu he was pushed by the andhakaram also, and that has also given him so much of dukkam, fatigue. So tavat pramanena advakedena, the such fatigue from the journey. Somavara Upavasena, he was also fasting during the entire time, the day, and it was evening time. Usually, if we miss one time food, then we feel tired. He has been fasting the whole day here. So he was completely tired. So Somavara Upavasena, Tavata Advakena cha. The third one is सार्थात् विप्रयोगेण. सार्थः इत्युक्ते वणिक् समूहः अर्थेन सह वर्तते. अर्थम is any object that they are taking for trade. The merchants take a caravan. So sartha is a caravan. Sarthavahaha, we've seen this word also before in the first few shlokas of this Leela. When it started, Nilakanta Dikshita has given different words for Vanik, Bhumisprik, Sarthavahaha, Vanik, Ityadayaha. So, Tatra Sarthaha ityukte, it is the caravan, the carriage which has all of the goods that he has, and including his friends. They always used to travel in a samuham. They never used to be alone. The business people always traveled with a couple of other people together, so it was called sartha, and that sartha is called vanik samoham. So sarthat viprayogena, now he was also separated from his merchant group. Sarthat viprayogaha, samyogaha is joining, viprayogaha is separation. So sarthat viprayogena, being separated from his group, tada, at that time when he had reached Kadambavanam, Kevalam Vidyathe. Kevalam San. Two things. You can take it as Kevalam Ekaki San. He was alone, and so he was very worried or suffered. Or Kevalam Vidyathe. Kevalam can mean Kritsnam, Atyantam, entirely. He suffered completely because of three things. One is the physical tiredness. Prana sharire tasya kshut pipasa karanat, he did not have any food also, and so he was this thing. Physically also he was separated from his samuham. He did not have anybody to give him food or direct him or guide him for anything. So he did not have food, and he had also walked a long way, and he was also separated from his group. So he was completely suffering. Kevalam vidyathe, or Kevalam can be taken as he was suffering alone. Being alone, he suffered. Okay. Somavara upavasena saha advakedena tavata viprayogena sarthacha vidyathe kevalam tada. He was alone and he was suffering. But what happened was, the surprising thing that happened there was Parameshwara's Sanidhyam. न उन्नतानि न निम्नानि न नम्राः न च पादपाः सर्वमेकम् अभात् तस्य सान्निध्यादिव शाम्भवात् तस्य सर्वम् ekam abhat. He may be alone, but at the same time, everything around him was also like it just there was nothing tall, na unnatani, na nimnani, nothing was short, na namraha, there was nothing that was bowing down like a creeper or bush or anything. Lata gulmadayah tu tatra na asan. Padabaha cha na, there were no trees also. Actually, the forest was filled with a lot of trees and creepers and everything. There were tall places, short places, there were sthalani, everything was there, rocks and but for him, shambhavat sannidhyat, by the presence of Shambhu. Shambhavaha ityukte Shambhoho idam sannidhyam, Shaiva sannidhyam, Samipyat. Iva, as if it were, this is not an upama or an utpreksha here. It is a fact that he is stating. In fact, அப்படிங்கிறதுக்கு இவ அதாவது தமிழ்ல சொல்லணும்னா சிவசந்நிதியில எல்லாமே ஒன்னா இருந்தாப்புல அப்படின்னு ஒரு ஒரு we use an expression there. இருந்தாப்புல இருந்தது அப்படின்னா இருந்ததுன்னு அர்த்தம். It is a fact. That is what you're saying. So this is more like a alankara. That is a style of saying. Wasn't it like that? It was actually, in fact. So sarvam ekam abhat. Abhat ityukte abhasata. Bha dhatoho langlakaraha tatra. So bhas dhatoho langlakarasto abhasata iti भादीप्तौ इति भाति भातः भान्ति इत्यस्ति तत्र लङ्लकारे अभात् इति भवति. So सर्वं तत्र एकम् अभात्. Everything was everything shone like it was shining as if it was one. One ityukte it was only Shivamayam asit tatra iti. Shivasya sannidhyat shambhavat sannidhyat sarvam ekam abhat ityukte he could not distinguish anything there. Na unnatani, there was nothing that was tall. Tungani kimapi vastuni na asanna. Na hraswani, nimnani, nimnam ityukte short. There were not any short ones also. There were neither low-hanging creepers, namraha, low-hanging ones, nataha, lata gulmadayaha na asanna. Padapaha, unnataha, vrikshaha api na asan. There were neither low-hanging creepers nor tall trees. Everything was just one. Why was this? Because of the presence of Shambhu Shiva. Nonnatani na nimnani na namraha na cha padapaha sarvamekam abhattasya sannidhyadiva shambhavat. Appada, everything seemed one. Suddenly there was a divya shabdam. There was a divine sound that he heard there. Ashraushit Ashrutacharam Amritasya iva nirjharam Ganam atodya sambhinnam Gandharvanam adurataha. Adurataha, from not very far off. Samipe eva. Samipa deshat Prasamam tatra akarnayamasa. He first heard Ashraushit. Ashraushit he heard. What did he hear? Ashrutacharam. Something that he had not heard before. This charam drishta adrishta charam bhutarte charat pratyayah tatra bhavati. So shrutam bhutapurvam, something that has been heard before is shrutacharam. Ashrutacharam ityukte anakarnitam, something that has never been heard before at all. So ashrutacharam amritasya nirjharam iva. So, it felt like a waterfall of nectar. Amritasya, nectar, nirjharam, waterfall. He was already so tired. It was he had been fasting the whole day. He was fatigued from the long journey also, and nothing was seen there. It was just complete total darkness. Actually, even darkness can tire you, because the instinct of the body is that the moment everything is dark, the body thinks that it is night and it has to sleep and it has to recuperate. So immediately you will feel that tiredness. So if you are always stimulated with light and everything, you will feel that it is daytime and that you have to be awake. But the body will tell you immediately once there is darkness, that darkness actually tells you that you are tired, and you will feel the tiredness much more than what you actually probably are not so tired, but then you will feel it. So he is already tired, but suddenly when he hears this music, it is like a punarujjivanam tasya. Tasmad amritasya nirjaramiva iti vadati Nilakanta Dikshita. Amritantu tatra vritamapi punarujjivayati kalu. Tasmat tatra gandharvanam ganam tu amritasya nirjaram prapataha iva asit. It was like a waterfall of nectar that was falling on him to rejuvenate him. Ashrutacharam. It was something he had not heard before. Atodya sambhinnam gandharvanam ganam ashraushit. He heard the music of Gandharvas, Gandharvanam ganam, which was sambhinnam mishritam, which was mixed with the Atodyaihi. Atodyam is of 4 types, I think. I thought I had, no, I have not made a mention of that. Atodyam is actually of 4 types. Murajam, Anadham, Sushiram, Ghanam, Tantri, Tatam, yeah. Tatam, Atodyam, Tatam, Anadham, Sushiram, and Ghanam. So these are 4 kinds of Atodyam. Atodyam are instruments, musical instruments. So there are 4 types of musical instruments mentioned in Sangeeta Ratnakara, which is, one is Tatam. Tatam is Tantri Yuktam, stringed instruments. Anadham is something that is beaten, like percussion instruments. Sushiram is wind instruments like flute, etc. And then Ghanam. Ghanam is Talavadyam, wherein it is not hit with the hand, but 2 things hit together, like the Jalra. Yeah, Kamsya Talam ityadi. You have the Jalra, எனக்கு வேற word தெரியல. So the Kamsya Talam is a kind of instrument which is like a bell metal which you keep doing for cymbal. Cymbal. CYMBAL nu potirkom. Cymbals are those which you use to during bhajana sampradayam. There are people who use this, and even if you go to weddings, you will find the Nadaswaram people. There are 4 people, 5 people are there. 2 people will be doing Nadaswaram and 1 tawil, or maybe 2 tawil. Then there will be 1 person who does this. That is called Kamsya Talam in Sanskritam. Prahlada was supposed to be doing that for in Vaikuntham. Prahladena kritam talam. Yeah, Murajam, Mridangam, and all that. So Ganam, Atodya Sambhinnam, not only just music, but that music also had accompaniments of different kinds of accompaniments. He has just mentioned Atodyam, so it could be any of the 4 Atodyam, which is Tantri Yuktam, Tatam, Anadham, percussion, Sushiram, and Talam. Talavadyam is Ghanam. It's called Ghanam. These are technical terms. So Atodya Sambhinnam Gandharvanam Ganam Adurataha Ashraushit. He heard very nearby, from very close by, not from a very far off distance. Okay. Ashraushid Ashrutacharam Amritasyeva Nirjaram Ganam Atodya Sambhinnam Gandharvanam Adurataha. Satat Chabdanusarena Satat Chabdanusarena Samprasarpan Shanai Dayaya Devadevasya Divyam Chakshur Adharayat. First he heard, then Divyam Te Chakshur. In Gita you will find that Krishna gives the Divyam Chakshuhu to both Sanjaya and Arjuna to view his Vishwarupam. In the same way here also, Devadevasya Dayaya Saha Dhananjayaha Divyam Chakshuhu Adharayat. He immediately got that divine sight because of the compassion of the Lord, Shiva, the Lord of the Devas. Deva Devasya, Devanam Devasya, Shivasya Dayaya, Karunaya. Saha Divyam Chakruhu Adharayate, he attained a divine sight. So he first followed the as he followed the sound, slowly he was given a very divine sight and he saw what was happening there. He heard the music, he only heard the music first very closely, and then he was given the sight. So, Saha, tat shabda anusarena shanai shanaihi samprasarpanna saha. As he was following, moving slowly, samprasarati, it was dark, he was also tired, but this sound was like a rejuvenation. He did not just sit down, he got rejuvenated and he started slowly following this sound, trying to feel where he is and what that sound is and where from that sound is coming, so that he can go and see what is happening there. So shanai shanaihi, very slowly, samprasarpan, sarpati, prasarpati, samprasarpati. That is in the slithering, right? Just like how a snake, in the ஊரிண்டு போறதுங்கிறதுல, it's just like how a snake just slithers slowly around. In the same manner, he is also feeling his way around in the forest and he is trying to move towards that sound. Tat shabda anusarena tesham gandharvanam shabdasya anusarena, by following the sound of that, by following their sound, the Gandharva's sound, पश्चात् शनैः शनैः सः गच्छन् सम्प्रसर्पन् देवस्य दयया दिव्यं चक्षुः अधारयत् प्राप्नोत्. He got a divine sight by the anugraham of Parameshwara. सतत् शब्दानुसारेण सम्प्रसर्पन् शनैः शनैः दयया देवदेवस्य दिव्यं चक्षुर अधारयत्. As soon as he saw, he got that sight. What was the sight in front of him that he saw? Sadivyalingam abhitas sandadarsha surana rishin. Sadivyalingam abhitaha sandadarsha suran rishin. Dhyayato gayatas samanya samani archataha cha abhishinchataha. Sadivyalingam abhitaha. Divyalingam abhitaha on both sides of the Divyalingam. There was a Kadamba Vanam and there was this Sundaralingam there. Because in the earlier this thing itself, we saw that by the time it was Dhananjaya's Yugam or Dhananjaya's time, there was the forest, the temple that was built by Indra and was completely covered by trees here. Right? So Divyalingam Abhitaha, on both sides of those Divyalingam, that divine linga, Dhananjaya saw devas and rishis. Suran rishin cha sandadarsha. He saw the devas and sages. What were those devas and sages doing? Dhyayataha, samani gayataha, archataha, abhishinchataha. There were 4 activities that these devas were doing. Devas and rishis were doing. Dhyayataha, samani gayataha, archataha, abhishinchataha cha. I'm sure both the devas and the rishis were doing all 4 of these activities. You can't separate and say only these 2 activities were done by the devas and these 2 were done by rishis. Because these are activities that both categories can do in the presence of Shiva. Dhyayataha, these 4 words, Dhyayataha, Gayataha, Archataha, Abhishinchataha, are all in Shatru Dvitiya Vibhakti Bahuvachanam. Okay? Gachan, Gacchantau, Gachantaha, Gacchantam, Gacchantau, Gacchattaha. That is what is happening here. So, Dhyayataha. Dhyayataha, they were all meditating. This is in continuous tense. He saw meditating sages and devas. He saw the devas and rishis singing Sama verses, Samavedam. Samavedam is supposed to be the most auspicious of all the Vedas. So, Samani Gayataha. Samani, Samavedasya Richaha Gayataha. Sama itself means the Rik. It is a technical term. It is the name of the Rik in the Veda, Samaveda. So, if you look at Rig Veda, the verses in the Rig Veda are called Rik. In Samavedam, the same Rik many portions of the Rig Veda are taken in Samaveda, but they are set to a different tune because Samavedam incorporates the 7 tones, and so they have a singing style there. And these Rig are when they are set in a different pronunciation and different swaras, it is called Sama. So Sama Veda is the Vedam which has the verses called Sama. The same goes for Yajurveda. Okay, Yajumshi iti. Yajumshi are the verses in Yajurveda are called Yajus. Now, Dhyayataha, Samani Gayataha, they were singing verses from Samaveda. Archataha, they were worshipping him with flowers. Abhishinchataha, they were also doing Abhishekam to the Divyalingam. So, Divyalingam Abhitaha Saha, Suran Rishin Sandadarsha, he saw Abhitaha, Dhyayataha, Gayataha, Archataha, Abhishinchataha cha, Suran Rishin cha Sandadarsha. Clear? So on both sides of that Divyalingam, divine linga, Dhananjaya saw devas and sages meditating, singing, worshipping, and doing abhishek. So Divyalingam abhitaha sandadarsha suran rishin dhyayataha gayatas samani archatascha abhishinchataha. Nanrutuf pramathaha kwapi jaguhu samani samagaha nanrutur devasudrishaha Jagur Anyatra Kinnaraha. There were other people also who were doing this. They were also worshipping Parameshwara here in this Linga form, but they were doing what they knew. See, these Rishis and Devas, they were singing, they were doing Dhyanam, some of them were doing Abhishekam. What did the Kinnaras do? They know only how to sing. So they sang the praises of Parameshwara. It's an off topic, but in the Shlokan sollidren. Idhula vandu Soundarya Vipanchya Gayanti Vividham Apadhanam Pashupatehe Vividham Apadanam Pashupatehe. Pashupatehe Apadhanam Vividham Apadanam. Apadanam is many different kinds of songs which have been written about Parameshwara, Pashupati. So Vani, Rajarajeshwari, Lalita is sitting in her darbar and Saraswati decides to take up her veena and she is also singing now. So Vipanchya Gayanti. Vipanchi is the veena that she uses. And as she is having her veena and playing on the veena, she is also singing. Vipanchya Gayanti cha. Vipanchi is an accompaniment for her, just like how we had the accompaniments here for the Gandharvas. The accompaniment for Saraswati there is Vipanchi. It is a Tantri Vadyam. Vipanchya Gayanti. Gayanti iti Shatrapratyam tatra. Gayanti Vividham Apadanam Pashupatehe. She is singing, she has in the Mettikatradingrolya, she has set to tune many stories of Parameshwara and she is singing that. Saraswati is singing that. Apadanam Pashupatehe Tvaya Arabdhe Vaktum Chalita Shirasa Sadhu Achane. Lalita, she listens to that and she nods her head and says Sabash. She appreciates that and sadhu iti sadhu vachanam tvaya arabdhe chalita shirasa. Usually if we like something we shake our head and say, oh, it is very beautiful, right? So in the same manner Ambal is also sitting there in that simhasanam and she is appreciating what Saraswati is singing, both for the lyrics and for her song. And tvaya arabdhe vaktum Chalita Shirasa Sadhu Vachane. Sadhu Vachanam Tatra Arabdham Bhavatya. Tvayarabdhe Vaktam Chalita Shirasa Sadhu Vachane. Tadiyair Madhuryair Apalapita Tantri Kalaravam. The Veena of Saraswati is already very sweet, Madhuram. But then that is completely overshadowed by that Sadhu Vachanam that Lalita is saying. Tadiyair madhuryaihi, tadvakyasya madhuryaihi, apalapita tantri kalaravam. Tantri, the string sound has been completely apalapitam. It has been overshadowed by just that sadhu iti vachanam. Nijam veenam vani nichulayati cholena nibhritam. The talappu irukla, அந்த தலைப்புனால she just covers that veena, feeling very ashamed that her veena is not as sweet as Devi's vachanam. She immediately covers that veena so that it doesn't cholena can also mean, some people say it is like the cover for the veena. Or you can also say with her own sari, she just covers it completely and stops playing, it seems, because it cannot compete with the Devi's vachana. So there are people can do what they can do, but then there is something beyond that also. There is a supreme entity that is much more sweeter than this. Idu madri nayanam madhuram vachanam madhuram kannanodu appadidane illa. So I'm digressing too much. Nandrituhu pramathaha kwapi. क्वापि कुत्रापि प्रमथाः प्रमथगणानां तु तत्र नर्तनमेव जानन्ति ते. So they are dancing. प्रमथाः शिवभक्ताः प्रमथगणाः ननृतुः, they danced in one place. क्वापि क्वापि इत्युक्ते somewhere he is not even conscious of which group is standing where and all that. He is not thinking about that. Somewhere there was one group of Pramathaganas who were dancing. Samagaha samani jaguhu. Samagaha are brahmanaha athava samaveda rishayaha ye vartante te. Rishayaha tu kutrapi anyatra samani jaguhu. Jaguhu iti nanrituhu is nrityati ityasya litlakaraha. Jaguhu is gayati. तस्य लिट्लकारः. So samagaha samam gayanti, sama gayanti ye te rishayaha samagaha. So those rishis who always do say vedavakyam, they were doing what they know best. So they were doing that work. So they were reciting samaveda verses. Nanrituhu deva sudrishaha. Deva sudrishaha. Deva divya. Devi Sudrishaha, those who have Sushtu Drik Yeshamte, those who have beautiful eyes. So here it indicates the divine beauties who are Apsarastri. They also know only how to dance. So they displayed their talent in front of Parameshwara to show their bhakti and ananda. Nanratuhu Deva Sudrishaha, Apsarastri, the beautiful eyed divine Apsarastris also danced in one place. Anyatra kinnaraha jaguhu. Kinnaraha ashwamukhaha. They are lesser men, which means kinnaraha. This is a literal etymological derivation. But kinnaraha are those celestial beings who have the face of a horse and the body of a man. They were, or the body of a horse and the face of a human. So Kinnara and Kimpurusha are two kinds of beings, but usually they are intermixed. If you say Kimpurusha, Kinnara, both depending on the context, it can be anybody, either Ashwamukhaha athava Ashwashariraha. It can be in both. So here they are supposed to be celestial singers. So just like Gandharvas, Kinnaras are also, they sing really well. So Kinnaraha anyatra, in another place, they were singing. So this is the scene that Dhananjaya saw. It was a divine scene, and he had to be given that divine sight by Parameshwara to view this scene. Nandrutuhu pramatha kwapi jagus samani samagaha nandrutur devasudrisho jagur anyatra kinnaraha. Kamalai, maybe I'll take this up later. We'll stop with the 67. Yeah. Namaste.
Yes, ma'am. In the first lokatla, continuous and speedy approach of darkness, his mind got confused. அந்த மாதிரி வேகமா காட்டார வருது இல்லையா, அதை நம்மளால கிராஸ் பண்ணவே முடியாது. அந்த மாதிரி வேகமா வந்த அந்த இருளால குழப்பமடைந்த மனதை கொண்டவன் அந்த காட்டிலேயே இருந்தான் அப்படிங்கிற அர்த்தம் கரெக்டா இருக்கு?
இல்ல, இது என்னன்னா முதல் பார்ட் ரொம்ப அழகா இருக்கு. அதாவது வேகமா வர அந்த காட்டாறு மாதிரி இருக்கும் அந்த காரத்தினால அது மாத்திரம் இல்ல, அவன் மனசுல வந்து குழப்பம்னு சொல்றதுக்கு பதிலா அனிர்வச்சனீயமான ஒரு ஒரு என்ன சொல்றது ஒரு உந்துதல் அவனுக்கு இருந்தது மனசுல. அனிஸ்தாரியம்ங்கிறச்சு அச்சிந்தியம்னு எடுத்துக்கோங்க. எண்ண முடியாத எண்ணங்கள், அது இன்னதுன்னு சொல்ல முடியாமல் இருக்கக்கூடிய எண்ணங்கள். அந்த எண்ணங்களினால்
எடுத்துக்க முடியுமா ஒரு அட்ராக்ஷன்?
எடுத்துக்கலாம். பட் அனிஸ்தாரியம் இஸ் மோர் லைக் அச்சிந்தியம். நான் இங்க போகணும், இப்போ இந்த இடத்துக்கு போகணும், அந்த மாதிரி எல்லாம் மயா அத்திர கந்தவியம்ங்கிற மாதிரி தெர் இஸ் நோ வியக்த கிளாரிட்டியா தாட்ஸ் எதுவுமே இல்ல.
அதாவது தன்னிச்சையா போற மாதிரி, அதாவது சுயச்சமா போகாம ஆக்சிடென்டலா அந்த மாதிரி போகிற மாதிரி.
ஆமா. சோ மனசுல ஒரு ஒரு இது கிடையாது அவனுக்கு, எதுவுமே இல்ல அந்த இடத்துல. சில சமயம் இந்த திருப்பதியில நம்ம கிரௌடுல வந்து when we are being pushed நம்ம போகணும்னு நினைச்சா பண்றோம், மனசுல என்ன இருக்காங்க?
சில டைம்ல ஆக நம்ம எங்க போறோம்னு தெரியாம சடனா ஒரு இடத்துக்கு போயிருப்போம்.
அதான் அந்த மாதிரி.
ஓகே ஓகே ஓகே.
சதுரகிரி பை எனி சான்ஸ் அந்த இடத்துல
சொல்லுங்க.
சதுரகிரின்னுட்டும் மதுரை பக்கத்துல சுந்தரலிங்கம் மகாலிங்கம் எல்லாம் இருக்காங்க. தனஞ்சய் அதாவது போய் காட்டுல இந்த மாதிரி இருக்காங்க போதும், இஸ் இட் பை எனி சான்ஸ் திஸ் சதுரகிரி ஆர் கதம்பவனம் இஸ் டிஃபரண்ட்?
ஆக்சுவலி கதம்ப வனம்ங்கிறது இப்ப சத்திக்கு இல்லைங்கிறா. கதம்பு இல்லை. ஏன்னா நீங்க வந்து மதுரை கோவிலுக்கு போய் பார்த்தேன்னா அங்க வந்து there is an old tree that is there which is said that this is the ஆதி கதம்ப வனத்துல இருக்கக்கூடியது. It is not sprouted at all. It is just a stump of tree which is kept in the prakaram of Madurai temple. And they say that it is extinct today. That tree is not there at all. So another the original lingam is the Sundara lingam that is there in the
description எல்லாம் கேட்கும்போது அந்த சதுரகிரி ஆயிருக்கலாமோ அப்படிங்கிற
இருக்கலாம். எனக்கு தெரியல, நான் அங்க போனதில்லை, அதனால எனக்கு தெரியல. இருக்கலாம்.
ஏன்னா நல்ல எல்லா ஔஷதங்களும் நிறைஞ்ச ஒரு காடு வித் ஒரு சுந்தர மகாலிங்கம் அப்படின்னுட்டு ஒரு
பாசிபிள் இருக்கலாம். இத வந்து அப்புறம் எஸ்டாப்ளிஷ் பண்ணிருக்கலாம். ஏன்னா எத்தனையோ செஞ்சுரிஸ் ஆகி யூ ஹேவ் சீன் தி மதுரை பீயிங் ரீபில்ட் அண்ட் ஆல் தட்.
தேனியிலிருந்தும் போக முடியும். மதுரை இஸ் தி பேஸ் ஆக்சுவலா அங்க இருந்து.
ஓகே ஓகே, தெரியல. பாசிபிள்.
வெரி டிவைன் எக்ஸ்பிளனேஷன் ஆக்சுவலி. நீ சோமவாரம் வேறையா?
ஆமா.
என்ஜாய்.
தேங்க்யூ. சரி, இன்னொரு டவுட் இருந்தது இல்லையா, சொல்லுங்க சார்.
எஸ் மேம். இந்த ட்ரீ அண்ட் சரட் அது இன்டர்சேஞ்சபிளா யூஸ் பண்ணிக்கலாம் மேடம், ரெண்டு பிரத்யேகமும். ட்ரீ
வந்து அபூத தத்பாவம். சோ இல்லாமல் இருக்கிறது ஏற்பட்டுடுத்துன்னு அர்த்தம்.
ஓகே.
சரட்டுங்கிறச்சு வந்து முன்னாடியே பழக்கப்பட்டதுங்கிற மாதிரி. திருஷ்டச்சரம் பலதரம் பார்த்திருக்கோமே அப்படிங்கிறோம், அவ்வளவுதான். பார்க்காமல் இருந்தது பார்க்கப்பட்டது அப்படிங்கிறச்சு தர்ஷனி பூதம் ஆர் அந்த மாதிரி வரணும். ஆமா, சுக்லி கிருத்தம்னு வரும்பொழுது இட்ஸ் மோர் ஆஃப் என்ன சொல்றது, ஒரு
வெண்மையா இல்லாம முன்னாடி இருந்தது, அது வெண்மை ஆக்கப்பட்டது.
கரெக்ட். இங்க அப்படி இல்ல, இட் இஸ் பீன் லைக் திஸ், அத பழக்கப்பட்டது, வெண்மையாகவே இருந்தது அப்படின்னா சுக்லச்சரம்ங்கிற மாதிரி. பட் இட் won't come for that. அது தப்ரத்தியத்தோட தான் வருது. வேற ஏதாவது இருக்கா சந்தேகம்?
இல்ல மேம், thank you.
Okay, namaste. We'll finish with this. नमस्सुन्दरनाथाय तस्मै हालास्य वासिने चतुष्षष्टि विधालीला येनाकारि भुवस्थले श्रीमत्सुन्दरनाथस्य देवीं शपरलोचनां कलये हृदये नित्यं कदम्ब वनवासिने.